fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness. I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. Mm-hmm. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets and when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern.
Hello and welcome to a Friday Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. We are here together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. It was already going to be a jam-packed Friday morning live right here all across the SportsGrid network, but it got even wilder in the last hour. A chaotic scene where we begin in Louisville, Kentucky. Outside of Valhalla Golf Club, of course, the site of the 2024 PGA Championship. Round number 2 was supposed to start by the time we went live on this Friday morning, but DRS, because of a bus accident outside of the entrance to the golf course, a large traffic jam. And this morning, some more chaos. Scottie Scheffler has been detained by Louisville police and is headed to jail. World number 1 golfer Scottie Scheffler has been detained by police and is headed at this moment to jail. You saw the report there from ESPN's Jeff Darlington, who was live on the scene with a breaking news tweet and report that caught everybody off guard. As the story goes, Donnie, as the reporting has played out from Jeff Darlington, because of this bus accident outside of Valhalla, there was a traffic jam. There was only a way for golfers to get into the entrance of Valhalla. Scottie Scheffler was making his way in. A cop did not believe that Scheffler had the right to be where he was, not recognizing or understanding who was the driver of said vehicle, and detained Scottie Scheffler. Again, a chaotic and wild scene on the Friday morning of round number 2 at the PGA Championship.
Yeah, just tweeted out, I believe this is probably a beat writer here, Gabby Herzig, says she's told by PGA of America official that the situation with Scottie Scheffler is ongoing and they are not in a position to confirm the status at the moment, which is wild. This is a major event here. It's like the Super Bowl, right? It's a major championship. We don't know what's going to happen, but also let's keep in mind, there's supposed to be, thought process in place of how this is supposed to happen and get there, because we see it so many times. There's baseball players, there's hockey players, there's football players. If there is a large crowd, if there is a crash that's on a highway, a lot of the times the players who might be in that, not the crash itself, but sitting there waiting in traffic, you wave down an officer. Hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm trying to get to the event here. They immediately get right on there, throw on the highlights and drive right by and escort you into the stadium. This seems to be like one of those things, Ben, where it's just, unfortunate that it happened, but did we over-escalate the situation? Because it would have been pretty simple. Driving a car that says official PGA Tour car, hey, look, what are you trying to do, buddy? I'm Scottie Scheffler. I'm trying to get to the event. Okay, let me get through there. So I don't know how this actually transpired. And also, this isn't one of those things where you look at Scottie Scheffler like, man, we know he's over-emotional on the golf course. He probably just lost his cool. Scottie Scheffler is cool as a cucumber out there. I doubt he overreacted to the situation at this point. But this is something we did not anticipate on a Friday morning. And even at the FanDuel Sportsbook, we are handicappers and gamblers here. That line is on the move right now. And you got to be honest. If you're a golfer in a major championship, you need to be locked in. You're no longer, if you even play today, how is that going to impact your on-course play where you wanted to work out this morning, you wanted to get on the putting green, you wanted to hit the driving range, and you can't do any of that, and you're going to pull up to the first tee ready to go? This is an interesting, involving situation right now.
As Donnie said, there was some sort of misunderstanding with the traffic violation that was in place. This stems, unfortunately, from a bus accident outside of Valhalla early on this Friday morning that involved a fatality. That's why there was the presence outside of Valhalla. Scottie Scheffler was placed in the handcuffs. Jeff Darlington, again, of ESPN, live on the scene, took a video with what appears to be his phone where police officers come up to him to ask him to clear out of the way. They say to him, there's nothing you can do. He is going to jail. There is nothing you can do. As Jeff Darlington reported, another police officer came up to him and said, can you tell me the name of the person we just arrested? That would be world number one, Scottie Scheffler. Again, because of the unfortunate accident outside of Valhalla, there was already a delay to round 2 tee times for everybody in this second round of the 2024 PGA Championship. Scheffler, for instance, was scheduled to go off at 8:48 a.m. Eastern time for round number 2 that had already been pushed back by over an hour to 10:08 a.m. Eastern time. Any further details about play today, Scottie Scheffler's situation, we will bring you. But again, DRS, not something that I expected to lead off the show on this Friday morning on the early line.
No, certainly not. And that's what we're here for. This updated information, we want to bring this to you live to keep you updated on the situations. We'll talk a lot of golf during this episode of the early line, but we have to be said, this is something we haven't seen before. And as Ben pointed out, which is really key, this isn't something that you can really push back too much here. If you miss your tee time, you are disqualified. And as we know, it's a major championship. Nobody wants to see that. But there is no wiggle room here either, Ben. It's not as if he's going off at 2:30 in the afternoon where you can get all this processed and he can get back to the golf course sort of decompress and maybe go through his pregame or let's just say pre-round stuff he likes to do. This is an early tee time here that was pushed back just a little bit. There's not a lot of room to get going here. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he does pull out of this golf tournament at this point. Speculation at this point, obviously, but my goodness.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of things that will happen. There's just the clerical logistics of having to be detained by a police officer and making your way to jail. Again, we don't know any further details at this time, and I would not be surprised if we do not get provided further details in a little bit. There is the humor of this, but there is also the very serious nature. From the odds perspective, here's what we have live right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook. In round number 1, Scottie Scheffler, a solid opening 18 holes, 4 under par, 67. 5 back of Xander Schauffele, who paced the entire field with a PGA Championship record score of 62 on Thursday. Xander is 9 under. But Scottie Scheffler, the pre-tournament favorite at a 4-1 number, after a solid opening round, remained at that price a little bit behind Xander Schauffele entering Friday morning. Because of this situation, the odds makers have moved back that price on Scottie Scheffler. It is now plus 600, third best number behind Xander Schauffele and Rory McIlroy. That's the odds component. Obviously, there is so much more to it than just that. An update, though, DRS, from the PGA Championship and its official Twitter account in the last 25 minutes. Play of round number 2 will begin at 8:35 a.m. Eastern. So that is about 30 minutes from right now. All round 2 starting times are delayed 1 hour and 20 minutes from the originally published time. Spectator gates will open at 8 a.m. There will be a lot that needs to be decided for Scottie Scheffler and this specific situation in the next hour and a half.
Now, also, like the situation that's, it's good that somebody that was in the media was on the scene to sort of detail it, as opposed to getting just secondhand information that we have no idea what we were looking at or even what happened. But apparently here, the interesting part's going to be is, like, if you are detained at this point, you got to go to the police station. Yeah. You got to get processed through. You got to come back. And, like, you're already shaken up at that moment. But also, let's see what actually happened at the scene, because as Jeff Darlington was reporting, it wasn't as if Scottie Scheffler was going 75 miles an hour down on the side of the road here and not waving anybody by in an unmarked car. He was in a PGA Tour car, which had the insignia on the outside. And it said when the cop came over to ask him a question, Scottie Scheffler's car moved 10 yards. If anybody puts that in football terms, it's a first down. It's not as if Scottie Scheffler drove a quarter mile up the road and didn't heed anybody's warnings at this point. So a lot of overreaction at this point. And also, if you do arrest him and put him in cuffs and put him in the back and they say, okay, that's Scottie Scheffler. Hey, look, Scottie, you can't do that here. We normally process you at this point. We understand it's a crazy situation out front. Get in there. Sorry, this had to happen. We'll send you a ticket or something like that. I think it's an overblown situation, and quite frankly, it's one we haven't seen before.
It is absolutely overblown, but it is the current situation that we are in. To Donnie's point, Scottie Scheffler did stop his vehicle short of the entrance of Valhalla, reported by Jeff Darlington, and did not over-aggravate any bit of this situation, and yet it has led to his detainment and being placed in handcuffs at this moment. We'll go around the rest of sports away from the PGA Championship up next.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament, also seeking his first PGA Tour victory. He went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Do Leafs fans stop watching hockey now, or do they root for other Canadian teams, Cam?
No, I'm not a proponent of that, and it's actually kind of bothered me that, like, all the people in Toronto are kind of like, oh, now I'm going to cheer for the Oilers. Like, why? What was your affiliation with the Oilers? Like, Canucks still exist. Like, I don't lose automatically and say, yeah, I'm going to cheer for the Ottawa Senators because of the Canadian. No, I cheer for my bats.
The Bostonian versus the book.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
We fly through the rest of the sports headlines and the news you need to know from yesterday, because it was a jam-packed Thursday. Any further updates on the Scottie Scheffler situation ahead of round number 2 at the 2024 PGA Championship, we shall bring you. As of this moment, again, the latest that we have, Scottie Scheffler has been detained by police and, as reports state, is headed to jail at this moment. Play at the PGA Championship for round number 2 starts at 8:35 a.m. Eastern Time after a delay on this Friday. Elsewhere, DRS, yesterday in the NBA playoffs, only a single game. And although we expected Minnesota to maybe hold serve on their home floor, not to the tune of a 45-point win. The Timberwolves have the largest margin of victory in any team's favor in an NBA playoff game since 2015, in nearly a decade, as they blow out the reigning champs, the Denver Nuggets, 115-70. A 45-point win as Minnesota staves off elimination in a big way, keeps its season afloat, and forces a Game 7 back in Denver on Sunday.
You know, yesterday, Ben, I didn't like the side of this game. I was like, you know what? I think anybody can win this one. Well, apparently in the final score, not anybody can win it. It was going to be the Timberwolves. And how did the Nuggets show up in quarter number 1 and score 14 points and then outdo themselves in quarter number 4 and score 9 points overall? That's outrageous at this point. But I feel like I was robbed last night, Ben. What did I say? I need 40-plus minutes and 40-plus points out of Anthony Edwards yesterday, who had, I believe, 18 or 19 at the break, easily going to cruise to that 29.5 number.
Yep.
He stopped at 27. Why? Because they get beat by about 50 points last night. I don't know. This series is off of the rails here. So many twists and turns, and this team won 3 games. This team opened up 2-0 in their home court, and now we're finally going to see a game number 7. An unbelievable performance by the Timberwolves, backed up by a what the heck performance was that by the Nuggets here, Ben?
DRS, we have seen in this series every single game never be decided by less than 7 points. Game number 1 was our closest, 106-99. Game 3 in Minnesota, 115-107. These games have been blowouts. We've seen Minnesota win by 26 and 45. Denver win by 15-plus points. It is crazy. The Timberwolves do cover as a 2.5-point favorite, as you would expect, on their home floor, winning by 45. A total of 204 and a hook stays under as Denver only registers 70 points. More reaction coming from that game in the NBA playoffs in just a little bit. Hockey news last night. The Rangers were down 3-1 entering the third and final period. Enter Chris Kreider, a game that will live on in New York Rangers lore forever. Kreider scores 3 goals himself in the third period. The Rangers add one late on an empty net, and they advance to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second time in the past 3 seasons with a 5-3 victory on the road in Carolina as an underdog to win this series in 6.
I mean, I've talked about this so many times from an NBA perspective here in the playoffs. I need my best players to perform in the biggest games here in order to secure a win. A natural hat trick, which is 3 goals by himself in the third period. And not just 3 goals in a row in the third period when they were down 3-1 entering into the third. And quite frankly,
crazy.
I feel ashamed of myself in this because I was paying attention to this game. And I did know it was 3-1 at the end of the second period. And I was ramped up for a game number 7 in the Garden. Oh, my goodness, could the Rangers blow this? Only to be surprised when I saw the final score later at night at 5-3. What an incredible performance for the Rangers. They move on to the Eastern Conference Finals.
The Rangers, the best team in the NHL's regular season, winners of the President's Trophy. They are the first winner of the President's Trophy to even reach a conference finals since the 2015 Rangers did that as well. President's Trophy curse dwindling by the series. Elsewhere out west, in the second game of a doubleheader in the Stanley Cup postseason, it has been anything but easy for Edmonton in their set against Vancouver. The Canucks win again. They score in the final 40 seconds of regulation. Let me get the individual's name to make sure I don't mess it up. JT Miller nets the game winner in the final minute. The Canucks win 3-2. They take a 3-2 series lead. Vancouver, a home underdog last night on home ice up in British Columbia.
Yeah, Vancouver not getting a lot of respect in this series overall, and yet here they are with a chance to close out the Edmonton Oilers now. Now, the Edmonton Oilers as my adopted team here, I'm hoping that is not the case because I enjoy that brand of style. But in games that we always expect to go over, this one stays under with only 5 total goals with a 6.5 at FanDuel yesterday.
Yeah, that it certainly did. All right, elsewhere in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark's home debut in Indianapolis was not exactly the best outing for Clark or for anybody on Indiana's side. The New York Liberty enter Indy and spoil that home debut in front of a sold-out crowd. 102-66. The Liberty nearly win by 40, easily covering as an 8.5-point road favorite.
Stewie drops a 31-10 in prime time there, 102-66. We have to understand this. The Fever were the worst team in the WNBA last year. It's understandable that they're going to get beat by better teams. You just don't want to get beat this bad on your home court here. Not a great look for the Fever. They'll get better as the season goes along, and so will Caitlin Clark.
They need to figure out how to utilize Caitlin Clark. Only 9 points, though, last night. 1 of 7 from deep. Yeah. Did have 7 rebounds and 6 assists to only 3 turnovers. Starting to figure out the orchestration a little bit. But one of the best point guards in the history of college basketball is playing often off ball as a 2-guard. Make it make sense in Indiana. Not a lot of time, though, in training camp from the end of a college basketball season through the WNBA draft, where we are now already in regular season action. Baseball news. The Yankees complete the sweep, shutting out the Twins once again. 5-0 yesterday in Minneapolis. DRS in 3 games. The Twins scored a single run.
Yeah, you can't. Come on now. Like, we were talking about a great series that was shaping up. Great series by the New York Yankees for sure. But what happened to the bats of the Twins that were supposed to be able to hit these type of pitchers using so many left-handed batters? Disappointing to say the least. But I'm going to tell you right now, might be back on the Twins bandwagon today with a couple RBI shots. BSS.
We will have that for you entering this weekend. It went to extras yesterday in the 4th and final game this week between the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies. This one in Philly. The Phils try to pull off a 4-game sweep. It goes to extras. The Mets had other ideas. They win in 11, 6-5, holding on in extras.
Enough with the pass balls, Phillies bullpen. You can't win them all. Good win by the Mets, bad loss by the Phils, and they move on.
Bryson stopped pretty good this week, though, for Philadelphia. All right, so much coming your way here in this show. We will continue to update anything you need to know from the PGA Championship next.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendricks ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a 1-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
Do Leafs fans stop watching hockey now, or do they root for other Canadian teams, Cam?
No, I'm not a proponent of that, and it's actually kind of bothered me that, like, all the people in Toronto are kind of like, oh, now I'm going to cheer for the Oilers. Like, why? What was your affiliation with the Oilers? Like, Canucks still exist. Like, I don't lose automatically and say, yeah, I'm going to cheer for the Ottawa Senators because they're Canadian. No, I cheer for my bad team.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the 2nd or 3rd inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
The breaking news on this Friday morning out of Louisville, Kentucky, ahead of round number 2 at the 2024 PGA Championship, continues to get even wilder. Scottie Scheffler was officially booked by the Louisville Police Department at 7:28 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. There is a police report, and there is a mugshot now available. No further information has been provided at this moment. But, Donnie, you saw the mugshot come across Twitter and social media, and you asked, is this real? There's no way this can be real. It is real. It is official, and it is confirmed. Scottie Scheffler booked this morning at 7:28 a.m. Eastern.
Again, we always have a little bit of that, is this really real on Twitter or social media at this point? Because I like to start with Jeff Darlington from when I was getting ready for the show and prepping when he initially put out his tweet way before he even went on TV. I even use TweetDeck, which is X-Pro, which I have columns here of beat writers where you can't get fooled because it's their actual real account. I still clicked onto the check mark to make sure it was Jeff Darlington on what I was reading was actually true at this point. So now, of course, when I see a mugshot of Scottie Scheffler, man, these guys are really crafty out here on social media. Somebody had to make that one up. And the reason I bring that up is because looking at that, which means we're going through the whole process right now with Scottie Scheffler. This wasn't one of those, put him in the back of the police car, drive him down wherever you had to go. Cooler heads prevailed. Look, this is a mistake right now. We'll rectify this later. Let's get you back to the golf course. And, if there's tickets, if there's any injunctions, we'll do that later. But he's getting processed through as if an actual crime was committed, which, again, we don't know either way at this point. It's just pure speculation on Ben and myself's part here. But the seriousness of it is sort of being elevated by seeing if that mugshot is actually true. And as we're trying to get confirmation, which it seems like it is, this is a wild turn of events. So now we're not talking about, hey, can he make his tee time in an hour and a half? I don't see how he does. And also, we're human beings here. If you're put in this situation, did the crime or didn't do the crime, that has to shake you here. To be mentally ready in an hour and a half or 2 hours to play major championship golf, Ben? No way.
100%. Listen, there is the comical nature, if you want to call it that, maybe the comically ironic nature of the situation this morning. Scottie Scheffler, who by all accounts of people on the scene, mainly ESPN's Jeff Darlington, who further reported this morning on SportsCenter that Scottie Scheffler, after the police officer told him to stop, drove ahead slowly and then stopped his car, a PGA Championship marked vehicle where golfers were told they could get into the premises at Valhalla. There is the craziness of that. It doesn't seem that serious of a situation specifically for Scottie Scheffler, but he has been detained. And there is the human nature of this entire situation where Scottie Scheffler was detained by a police officer, was placed into handcuffs, was put into the back of a police vehicle, taken to jail, booked, and is now in orange police or jail clothes, if you want to call it that, and has been officially booked with a mugshot. That is jarring for the entire situation ahead of round number 2 at the PGA Championship. Again, there is the golf nature of this. One of the reason this happened, the scenario that happened, the scene that was there outside of Valhalla is a very unfortunate accident. There was a shuttle that struck a pedestrian, leading to a fatality. That is why there was this traffic situation to begin with that the police officer thought Scottie Scheffler was blowing off. That led to a delay for round 2 tee times, everybody having their second round tee time pushed back hour and 20 minutes, and now is, of course, leading to this detainment for Scottie Scheffler. We're trying to figure out details in live time with all of you as we surf through Twitter and social media to get that next update. We're hoping to get Keith Stewart, who is live on the grounds at Valhalla, who is there on the scene to provide any further information, but a chaotic Friday morning has ensued at the PGA Championship.
No, it certainly has. And also just trying to keep involved of what's actually happening in a real timeline. It's fun that we're actually on the air to bring this to you as most people are watching along with us, trying to gather that information. But you have to be understood, if this was the 62nd golfer in the world, it would be news, but not major news. This is the number 1 golfer in the world that's on an absolute heater on the golf course that's trying to win another major championship that was detained before round 2 even started, and he had a very good round number 1. This is insanity as it's playing out here, but we'll watch it go through. You're taking a look live where you're seeing him being booked into what? Central processing at this point. Can he make it back in time? We got boots on the ground down at Valhalla. Make sure you keep it right here on the network because BSS, DRS, we got you covered for this one, no doubt about it.
Again, I know the odds are not even nearly important to the situation happening right now, but Scottie Scheffler overnight, 4-1. Now plus 650. I saw it as long as 8-1 moments ago. Further information from Louisville next.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendricks ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament. Also seeking his first PGA Tour victory, he went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Do Leafs fans stop watching hockey now, or do they root for other Canadian teams, Cam?
No, I'm not a proponent of that, and it's actually kind of bothered me that, like, all the people in Toronto are kind of like, oh, now I'm going to cheer for the Oilers. Like, why? What was your affiliation with the Oilers? Like, Canucks still exist. Like, I don't lose automatically and say, yeah, I'm going to cheer for the Ottawa Senators because they're Canadian. No, I cheer for my bets.
The Bostonian versus the book.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a minus 115 Canes, Rangers minus 105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Further information out of Louisville this morning ahead of round number 2 of the 2024 PGA Championship and the detainment of world number 1 golfer Scottie Scheffler. DRS, this information provided by Olivia Russell on Twitter. She works for Wave 3 News there in Louisville. Scottie Scheffler is being booked in the Louisville Metro Department of Corrections. He is charged with assault of a police officer, criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding signals from an officer directing traffic. That is the latest information we have as of this moment.
And it's wild to think about because, again, we only have the one person on site with Jeff Darlington who was basically viewing how this played out. And we were led to believe on SportsCenter, we did that live hit, if you watch that maybe the seriousness of it, we didn't know the totalities. Now, granted, these are all charges that are put up, but let's levy what's going to happen today. For most people that watch those videos, and I think we're probably going to have that in just a little bit, you're seeing it right now as it's live on the screen. Yeah. You're taking a look at him being walked away, which, again, the seriousness of this is the impact. This is wow. This is not a movie that's playing out in front of us. This was this morning at Valhalla, just out front, right around the crash site. Now you're taking a look at Scottie Scheffler being walked and detained, which he's going to go to the back of a police car. That's usually where they figure things out. They settle the moment down, they talk it through. But if you're saying that a police officer was injured in this and he does get booked down at Central Booking, and we're asking if he's going to make a tee time, Ben, in an hour and a half to 2 hours, he's not making a phone call to the PGA. He's making a phone call to lawyers at this point. point. We are just at the breaking point of this story. Who knows where it's going to wind out, but the severity certainly ramped up by the information that Ben just provided, where it's not just a misunderstanding at this point, as it seems, Ben.
Donnie, that's a great point. The severity and the seriousness of this situation far outweighs the odds perspective or the golf that we are going to see at the PGA Championship. Whether it was the right decision or not, whether it was an misunderstanding given the traffic situation outside of Valhalla or not, Scottie Scheffler has been booked, again, by the Louisville Department. I'll find out the exact name, but he has been booked as of this moment and has been charged with 4 things. You saw the video there from ESPN's Jeff Darlington, who was the first on the scene in the early morning hours of this Friday ahead of round number 2. You can see one of the police officers turn to the camera where Jeff Darlington is filming and says to Jeff Darlington in about 20 to 30 seconds as this video plays out. He's following the scene. He is following Scottie Scheffler, the world #1 golfer, who you can see clearly has been detained and placed into handcuffs and is being escorted to a police vehicle. You will see this police officer right here in that yellow traffic jacket turn to Jeff Darlington in just a matter of moments, as he does with the flashlight, and says, "There's nothing you can do. He's going to jail. There is nothing you can do." And Donnie is very right. There's the serious nature and the severity of this now developing legal situation for Scottie Scheffler. There is also then how it correlates to the golf course. This from Jason Sobel, a golf reporter. Scottie Scheffler's new tee time is 10:08 a.m. Eastern time. That has nothing to do with his detainment this morning. It has to do with the unfortunate fatal bus accident outside of Valhalla that caused this traffic situation in the first place. Worth noting, says Sobel, Rule 5.3a in the rules of golf under, quote, when to start round, lists exception 3. Committee decides that exceptional circumstances prevented you from starting on time. Under this provision, there is no breach of rule. Could that mean something for Scottie Scheffler here if and when he is able to leave police custody, and if he decides, obviously involved in a jarring incident, that he is going to continue play in the PGA Championship?
And also, what's that mindset going to be? I don't think he's going to make that tee time. And also, here's what we like to talk about as well, because we are a network that deals in handicapping. We are the first and foremost presence in that. So when you take a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook, what they're saying to us right now, this was a guy that was favored to win the PGA Championship. If we're looking right now live at the odds, he's now to a plus 750 price. When we opened the show this morning, that was a 4-to-1 price, because as the betting markets evolved, and also what's going to happen if he is disqualified from this tournament? We haven't seen this before. We've seen many times top golfers in the world in major championships and any tournaments have an injury midway and have to pull out. Back injury, wrist injury, that's many times. But for a major championship golfer who's #1 in the world, that's not even going to make his second round tee time due to being arrested here, this is something we haven't seen and maybe we'll never see again at this point. So all that talk that we had early in the morning, just the pure speculation, wow, he got detained. How quick can he make it back to the golf course? I don't know if he's making it back to the golf course today, Ben.
So, DRS, further reporting from Pat Forty of Sports Illustrated. As we shared, Scottie Scheffler was charged with second-degree assault of a police officer, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, disregarding traffic signals from an officer directing traffic. Pat Forty does say that Scottie Scheffler has been released on his own recognizance per reports. There you see the official mugshot of Scottie Scheffler by the Louisville Metropolitan Department of Corrections. So, according to this further reporting and information from Pat Forty, Scottie Scheffler has been released on his own recognizance. That is per reports. Again, we don't know if that means he's headed to the golf course to get warmed up for round number 2. We have no idea if that means he is going to make his originally scheduled tee time, but that is the latest info as of right now. And to Donnie's point, from the odds perspective, which always drives our discussions here on the early line and across the SportsGrid network, it has been wild, and I mean absolutely wild, to follow the odds makers for the outright numbers to win the 2024 PGA Championship. Scottie Scheffler, in terms of what just happened on the golf course in round number 1, shot a 4 under par, 67. Off to a great start, trying to win his second consecutive major championship, but 5 back of Xander Schauffele, who shot a PGA Championship record in 18 holes, 62, 9 under yesterday. Schauffele was the tournament favorite entering round 2 at a plus 250 number, with Scheffler only $1.50 behind at 4-1. As this scene has played out on a Friday morning, I have seen Scottie Scheffler get as long as an 8-1 number to win the PGA Championship, as short to 6-1 behind both Schauffele and Rory McIlroy. Now it is settled at a plus 750 number. It's almost as if the odds makers, DRS, are moving this price based on the information that we are seeing. Detained, okay, maybe not that serious. Charged with 4 things and officially booked, very serious. 8-1 number. Now, as the reports state, Scottie Scheffler has been released on his own recognizance. It's a plus 750 price. Take for that what you will.
Yeah, let's also be honest. It's not a video game that we're playing right now. You're taking a look, and even though the top professional athletes in the world are wired much, much different than you and I would be, Ben, but let's be honest. Scottie Scheffler's not used to being put in this situation. The severity of the crimes that are being leveled against him, we expect him to just get back into a car, drive back, and play golf today? Like, if this isn't a normal in your life, you're not going to be able to do that here. I would be absolutely shocked if he does play golf today. Not because I don't think he can drive back and golf and play well today, but let's remind ourselves here. The guy is just a brand new father. Took a couple weeks off. It's a major championship. There's enough stress, and now being the center of a whirlwind here where if you do return to this golf tournament, what's going to happen? Is every single person every 30 seconds going to be asking you questions all throughout the next couple rounds at this point? I don't know how he would be able to get back and play and get his tee time and play well and try to win this thing. But as I said, people are wired differently. These professional athletes are able to block out a lot. I just don't know about, can you block this out? I don't think he can. And again, I would be surprised if he tees it back up today at Valhalla.
Listen, there is the speculation. There is what Donnie is saying. Any further information we will bring to you. We hope to have Keith Stewart here live on the other side of the break. What was that? Is he coming on? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, Keith Stewart will join us up next following this commercial break. He is live at Valhalla Golf Club on the scene on this Friday morning in Louisville, Kentucky. Keith Stewart joins us next to provide further information. Join us once again on the early line after the break.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament, also seeking his first PGA Tour victory. He went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in 2, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Do Leafs fans stop watching hockey now, or do they root for other Canadian teams, Cam?
No, I'm not a proponent of that, and it's actually kind of bothered me that, like, all the people in Toronto are kind of like, oh, now I'm going to cheer for the Oilers. Like, why? What was your affiliation with the Oilers? Like, Canucks still exist. Like, I don't lose automatically and say, yeah, I'm going to cheer for the Ottawa Senators because they're Canadian. No, I cheer for my bets.
The Bostonian versus the book.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a minus 115 Canes, Rangers minus 105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are. When people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree, because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We go live right now on this Friday morning on the early line on SportsGrid to Louisville, Kentucky, on the grounds of Valhalla Golf Club, where Keith Stewart joins us here on this Friday on TEL. Keith, first off, thank you for joining us live on this Friday to try to provide some context and any further information that you have available to the scene surrounding Scottie Scheffler's detainment by Louisville police. Keith, we'll just start with your experience on this Friday morning. What did you witness? What was it like trying to get into the grounds at Valhalla Golf Club on this Friday?
Well, good morning, guys. And it is truly an electric scene. It's a crazy scene. There's so much unknown. And as the breaking news happens on X or Twitter, it's just, I've been around golf my whole life, and I'm so happy I have the time to join you guys. For myself, coming in, the commute's usually a 15-minute shuttle ride. It took about 90 minutes. The scene on Shelbyville Road, which is the road that the main gate is on, is just, a terrible, terrible thing. What's getting lost in all of this is that a terrible, terrible thing happened this morning. A pedestrian was killed, which has nothing to do with the whole Scheffler incident. But as a professional golfer, I've been in his situation before. You're locked in traffic. Your tee time is approaching. He thought his tee time was at 8:48 in the morning. He was, ready to go through his normal routine. And in those extreme circumstances, he made a move. He made a call. He said, you figure out I'm a player. And he moved his car to try to get around some of the police cars and everything. Somebody went to stop him. They did not know who he was. And then the next thing you know, Scottie Scheffler's being hauled off in handcuffs. All of that took place in like under 2 minutes. It's really is a wild exchange of events.
Donnie?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible because I'm just trying to get caught up here as I read social media off to the side at this point. We now have conflicting reports coming in. Major accounts saying that ESPN Plus is reporting that Scottie is on his way back to the golf course and will be at Valhalla within 15 minutes. That was a tweet of about 5 to 10 minutes ago at this point. We don't have confirmation on that, but let's talk about the severity of the situation and the chances here, Keith, that maybe he can get back into this tournament. What are we thinking on that?
I think that's a really good point, Donnie. And, I heard you just before we went into the last break. It's like, what would his mindset be going into all of this? He has to be going on an emotional roller coaster similar to that of the odds board that's reflecting his chances to win this thing. He jumped up to 9-1 when it seemed like he wasn't coming back. And then within minutes, he's down to 5-1 again where he went to sleep last night. This really is pretty wild. I think from a player's perspective, it's going to take him It's pretty unbelievable that he's even going to try to play in a major championship today, the week after he had a child. You want to talk about a roller coaster of events that this guy has been on over the last, let's say, 10 days. It's pretty extreme. And if this guy can come out and still play at a high level today, then I tell you what, that is some impressive golf. Because right now the scene here is such that, the amount of confusion that hundreds of media members are facing right now, the questions that you all have. Imagine what his questions are about what's going on. Can I get my normal routine in? Can I get can I see the physio? Can I hit balls? He's got till 10:08 to go play golf.
So, Keith, as you just described right there, and part of all of this, there's more than 150 golfers in this field still before the weekend, and a cut is made. And as you said, play at the PGA Championship, unrelated to Scottie Scheffler's situation, was delayed by over an hour this morning because of a very unfortunate fatal accident near the grounds of Valhalla. They are just starting to get underway, at least as the PGA reported at 8:35 a.m. Eastern Time. How do you describe the atmosphere of what you are seeing on the actual golf course and at Valhalla at this moment?
I think the word would be anxious. Everyone is anxious. Will Zalatoris and Cam Young walked to get here because they couldn't get on property. Everybody wants their normal routine. This is a really big golf event. And at the risk of being redundant, all of these guys, they have these routines. And Scotty's has obviously been very upset. And if he plays at all today, that would be amazing, let alone if he went out and he actually shot a reasonable score. But all of these golfers, they have question marks. The reason that there was a further delay this morning, not just from the tragedy, but also we're dealing with weather down here. You know, these guys are here trying to warm up, and the practice facility, I mean, it's soaking wet. It's raining outside. There are so many complicated aspects of what is happening right now on the property, and so many questions being asked. You know, guys trying to go warm up, just whoever it is. Rory, what do you think of the news? Like, I don't want to talk about that. I want to go warm up. But you know what? You have to. I mean, as a spokesperson for the game, of which all these, 80% of these guys are, their whole, there's just so many questions right now. And all they want to do is be able to focus on what they're trying to do. We have so many big names at the top of the leaderboard. Those guys, they just want to lock in. And with all of this distraction, I mean, this has just been one wild week in Valhalla between Rory's divorce, now this, and just all of the confusion circling these guys. Whoever wins this week, it will be a testament to their ability to focus. That's for sure.
Keith, let me ask you a question about this, too, because you're in the media there. You are boots on the ground a lot at all of these tournaments here. How does the PGA handle this? Do we get a press conference before he tees off? How do we get updated on the official scenarios of what we're anticipating?
Well, Donnie, I will keep you and Ben abreast of what's going on. Being here in the media center, we get updates via email, via text, as everything plays out. So, and that has to do with the golf tournament. So it'll be very interesting to your question, or to your point, is how they handle the news of all of this, because obviously the media needs to report on this. The PGA of America, again, this is the PGA of America's event, not the PGA Tour. So the PGA of America has to figure out how they're going to relay this information so that all of the media members in this room that I'm sitting in right now, we have the opportunity to tell the story in an accurate fashion. There's still a golf tournament that needs to take place today. There's still a cut line, top 70 in ties. There is still all of these storylines that are taking place, as well as maintaining and getting a golf course ready in pouring rain. So, guys, I'm here, and I'm sure I'll be back to see you in a little bit when I have more information.
Yeah, Keith, we really appreciate that. Any info that you get, feel free to pass along. We'll possibly have you back on the show throughout these next 2 hours plus as we go through 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I'm sure you're in conversation with our producer, Joe Frieso, as well. Keith, incredibly thankful to have you on the show this morning. And I know it will be a wild scene and atmosphere at Valhalla all Friday long. Keith Stewart, thank you once again. More on the early line up next.
A surprise winner on the PGA Tour. Taylor Hendrick ends up winning his first PGA Tour win.
He was pretty darn lucky to win. Ben Coles should have won that tournament, also seeking his first PGA Tour victory. He went into the 18th hole, the easiest hole on the golf course, with a one-shot lead, and he was there in two, just less than 30 feet from the cup.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the book.
Do Leafs fans stop watching hockey now, or do they root for other Canadian teams, Cam?
No, I'm not a proponent of that, and it's actually kind of bothered me that, like, all the people in Toronto are kind of like, oh, now I'm going to cheer for the Oilers. Like, why? What was your affiliation with the Oilers? Like, Canucks still exist. Like, I don't lose automatically and say, yeah, I'm going to cheer for the Ottawa Senators because they're Canadian. No, I cheer for my bad team.
The Bostonian versus the book.
A lot of books, and outside of the New York area, the Canes are actually favored in Game 1 of this series. I'm seeing it right now. I'm looking. I see a -115 Canes, Rangers -105.
I like the 6 and 7 games prop, like I took with Boston, Toronto, which we now know is going to cash. I think it's got a chance to go the distance. It's going to be a long, tough, close series.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
The Cam Rising stuff last year with Utah, 3 months of pretending he was questionable with a torn ACL, ridiculous.
It's a lot of gray right now when it comes to this stuff, and we really are when people say we're in like the second or third inning of sports betting, that's why I agree. Because there's so many of those situations that are very, very difficult to explain to a novice.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
We're live right here, ending out our opening hour on this now chaotic Friday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. Again, this all follows the situation surrounding world number one golfer Scottie Scheffler ahead of round number 2 at golf's second major this year, the 2024 PGA Championship. Here is what we know at this moment through credible reporting. A lot of speculation on social media at this moment. Earlier this morning, following a traffic accident that unfortunately led to a fatality of a pedestrian outside but close to the grounds of Valhalla Golf Club, Scottie Scheffler was involved in a traffic scenario because of the traffic backup following that accident. He was then detained by the Louisville Police Department and booked this morning by the Louisville Metropolitan Department of Corrections around 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time. He was charged with 4 counts there. You see what is a crazy image, his official mugshot this morning. He has been released, however, on his own recognizance, and as reports state, is on his way back to the grounds at Valhalla. Because of the traffic accident, Donnie, play at the PGA Championship was delayed at the start of this second round by an hour and 20 minutes. So Scottie Scheffler's scheduled tee time for round number 2 is 10:08 a.m. Eastern Time. If he plays, when he starts, that still remains to be determined. An excellent reporting there from Keith Stewart live on the grounds in Louisville this Friday morning.
Yeah, and this is breaking news all throughout. And quite frankly, if this news turns out to be true, which means he's back to the golf course, we're going to be live on air, Ben, when he tees off for round number 2 of the PGA Championship. So a lot more is to be anticipated over the next hour to hour and a half. And also keep in mind the seriousness of the situation, because this would have been still a big story if the police had said, okay, you're getting a citation, put you in handcuffs, put you in the back of the police car, talk to you for a couple minutes, let you go into the golf course. We'd still be talking about it. But the fact that he was able to be processed, take the central booking, have a mugshot, and could be back on his way to Valhalla to compete in the PGA Championship is an unbelievable story that is playing out in real time. And we're trying to get the most credible information that we can possibly relay to the people out there to find out exactly what is going on. And quite frankly, we don't know exactly what's going on, but we are also taking a look at the sports books here to see how they're handling the situation. FanDuel, 5-1 now. We've seen as high as 8-1, as low as plus 4-1. Yep. Where does that wind up? And also the fanfare. When we talk about ratings here, very rarely on a Friday morning, it's like, yeah, the golf tournament is going to play itself out. We don't have to wait till 2 or 3 in the afternoon. You are going to anticipate a tee time the next hour and a half. Either Scottie is going to be there or he's not going to be there. Keith Stewart's on the ground here, a lot more information to go. So, my goodness, if this was only hour number 1 right now, I can't imagine hour number 2 and hour number 3 with this information coming in with when we see him appear on this golf course.
In our role often on this show, on the early line, all across the SportsGrid network, is to have these conversations in the world of sports driven by the odds, by the numbers. We are sponsored by the FanDuel Sportsbook, and it has been a fascinating case to follow just the odds to win the 2024 PGA Championship outright as further information was made available and provided this morning following Scottie Scheffler's detainment. On the golf course in round number 1, Scottie Scheffler shot a 4 under par 67, a very good start at the par 71 Valhalla Golf Club for the PGA Championship. 5 shots back of Xander Schauffele, who is your round 1 leader after a historic opening round 62, the first ever 62 shot at a PGA Championship, the 4th ever 62 in any round in any of the 4 majors in the world of golf. But Scottie Scheffler, who was the pre-tournament favorite, was 4-1 before the tournament got started. In the overnight hours, back behind Xander Schauffele, was still at a 4-1 number. But as this information came out. After it was made clear that he was officially booked, the number got as long on Scheffler as we had seen, 8-1. It hovered around plus 650, plus 750, with the uncertainty on when or if Scottie Scheffler might even return to the golf course as of this moment. Donnie right side, Scottie Scheffler has the third best number to win the PGA Championship at 5-1, behind Xander Schauffele, who is the favorite at plus 240, and Rory McIlroy, who has the second best number at plus 450. The odds, just one component of this developing situation, and there is much more severity than just what is happening with these prices and the action on the golf course. But round number 2 with the PGA Championship is now officially underway. As we get ready for hour number 2 here on this Friday on the Early Line, we will continue to provide updates. Come back and join us after the break.